Okay, so let's dive right into this. What if I told you that a conversation from like 2,500 years ago, one that happened on the banks of a lotus pond, actually holds this incredible psychological framework that is just, well, shockingly relevant for us today? Yeah, we're going to unpack that whole thing.
And really, it all kicks off with this one observation. It's kind of the heart of the whole problem we're digging into here. It's this feeling that, let's be honest, we've all had it, right? That frustrating, complicated, sometimes just deceptive nature of other people. And hey, maybe even of ourselves.
All right, so let's set the scene. We're near this ancient city, Kampa. The Buddha is there, sitting with his followers, and we're talking hundreds of them. And the text says they're in this state of just perfect, profound silence. Can you imagine that? And it's right into this super tranquil, peaceful scene that two guys just walk up.
So the first guy, a wanderer named Kandaraka, he is just immediately blown away. He looks around at this sea of totally silent, disciplined people, and he's like, wow, this is incredible. This is amazing. How in the world did you get them to be this disciplined? He's totally focused on the outside, right? The perfect surface of it all.
But then there's the other guy, Pessa. Now, he's the son of an elephant driver, so he's a working man, you know? He's not really looking at all the external perfection. He's got a much more grounded take. He sees something deeper, something way more complicated, and honestly, a little bit darker about people.
So Pessa lays out this really powerful comparison from his own job. He's like, look, I train elephants. I know exactly how they think. An elephant will try every trick, every bluff, every ruse it can think of, but you always know what it's trying to do. It's obvious. But my human workers, he says, well, that's a whole other story. They act one way, they say another, and who knows what's going on in their minds. And that's when he drops the line, humans, sir, are shady. And the Buddha hears this, and he doesn't argue. He just completely agrees. He's like, Pessa, you're so right. That's it, exactly. Humans are shady, beasts are obvious. But then, instead of just leaving it at that, he takes Pessa's very real, everyday problem and uses it as this jumping off point, a way to introduce a framework for understanding not just why people are so complicated, but how to actually live a better life. He tells Pessa, look, to cut through all that complexity, all that shadiness, we can boil it down to one simple idea: who a person causes suffering to. And based on that one principle, he says there are really only 4 kinds of people you'll find in the world. That's it, just 4.
So the Buddha lays them out. 4 types of people based on who they torment. First, there's the person who torments themselves. Second, the one who torments other people. Third is the person who torments both themselves and others. And then there's the fourth one, the final path, the person who torments neither. When the Buddha asks Pessa which one he prefers, Pessa, this practical guy, right, he immediately goes, well, I only like the sound of that last one. I mean, yeah, no kidding. It just makes sense, doesn't it?
And then Pessa, he's got work to do. He gets up and leaves, satisfied with that answer. But, and this is the key moment, right after he's gone, the Buddha turns to his followers and says, that Pessa, he's a sharp guy. But if he just stayed a little bit longer for the detailed explanation, he would have benefited immensely. And that is exactly what we're about to get, the deep dive that Pessa missed out on. Okay, so this is it. This is the analysis Pessa didn't get to hear. The Buddha starts by really digging into those first 3 types of people. He explains why these paths, which people actively choose, are all paths of pain, and why they're ultimately just dead ends. So, who is this first person, the one who harms themselves? Well, this is someone who is totally committed to the practice of self-mortification. They've basically decided that the only way to get pure or to find salvation is by torturing and punishing their own body. And we are not talking about something subtle here. The original text gives these unbelievably vivid, kind of graphic examples. I mean, we're talking about people who literally tear out their own hair and beard, lie on a mat of thorns, who squat all day and refuse to sit. People who eat things like wild rice or even cow dung, and wear robes made of bark or human hair or, get this, owl's wings. It is a path of just extreme physical torment, all in the name of a spiritual goal. All right, so the next two paths take that suffering and they spread it outwards. Path number 2 is pretty straightforward, right? It's people's whole job is based on hurting others. Think of a butcher, a bandit, a hunter. Their work causes suffering. Now, path number 3, this one is a little more complex, a bit more subtle. The example given is a king who's performing some big ritual. He's tormenting himself, maybe by fasting, but he's also tormenting others by forcing his servants to participate in a scary sacrifice that makes them weep with fear. You see, he's trapped in this loop that hurts himself and the people around him. Okay, so after laying out those 3 paths of pain, the Buddha finally gets to the good part, the one that Pessa, our elephant driver's son, liked the sound of. This is the solution. This is the path of real happiness, and it's defined not by what you do, but, fascinatingly, by what you stop doing. And just listen to the way this is described. It's so beautiful. This person, the 4th type, doesn't torment themselves or anyone else, and because of that, they get to live, and I'm quoting here, quenched, cooled, experiencing bliss, with self become divine. So you see, it's not about suffering your way to the top. It's about living in a way that creates peace and happiness right now in this life. So the big question is, how do you actually get there? Well, it all starts with the foundation, ethics, just a radical commitment to not causing harm. You give up the obvious stuff, killing, stealing, lying, but also the more subtle things like harsh speech or talking behind people's backs. You learn to live simply, to be content with just what you need. And I absolutely love this metaphor from the text. You become like a bird. Wherever it flies, its wings are its only burden. Imagine that, a life of incredible lightness. But it's not just about your outward actions. That's just the start. The next layer is all about training your mind. It's this practice called noble sense restraint, which is a fancy way of saying you don't get swept away by every single thing you see or hear or think. It's about being totally present and aware in everything you do, whether you're walking or eating or just sitting silently. And it's that internal discipline that creates what the text calls an unsullied internal bliss. And that brings us to the final stage, which is all about purifying the heart. So once you're living ethically and your mind is trained, you can start to systematically tackle these 5 huge mental roadblocks, the hindrances, that cloud up our thinking. We're talking about greed, ill will and malice, dullness and drowsiness, restlessness and worry, and finally, that crippling sense of doubt. When you clear all that stuff away, the mind just becomes bright, clear, and steady. And what's the end result of walking this 4th path? It's this incredibly powerful statement of total freedom. It's a declaration that the spiritual journey has been completed, what had to be done has been done. Basically, the work is finished. The struggle is over. There's just complete peace. And that, right there, is the ultimate answer to Pessa's problem with the whole shadiness of being human. And that brings it all right back to us, to our lives today. I mean, let's be real, you and I probably aren't going to be lying on a bed of thorns anytime soon. But how often do we torment ourselves with nasty self-talk? Or maybe we harm someone else with just a thoughtless comment or some gossip. This ancient framework, it's not just some old story, it's really a mirror. It's asking us, hey, take an honest look. Which of these 4 paths are you actually walking down right now?